It's time for Ask Your Meteorologist as we're hanging out with meteorologist Adam Sherwinski today. Adam, so glad to be with you, and we are excited because we're in this space where crazy cool things happen.
Yeah, this is our reality weather, which we've shown before with Jacob and Kevin. They love to play with it, and I get to play with it sometimes in the morning too. But we're talking about frost. We've had that in the forecast recently too as well. We've talked about frost forming as well as I think the other day we had frost here in parts of central Illinois. So why not talk about how it forms? Well, you'll notice that we have this process called deposition. That's usually how we get our frost, unless it's already freezing. But when we have days where it's not already freezing, what happens is the same kind of process we have with, getting dew on there. The same process happens. However, the air temperature might be 35 degrees. Well, the surface of the ground might be a little bit cooler, and your dew point now becomes your frost point at 32 or below. So you go straight from having that water vapor kind of condense and become water on the grass to, okay, it's skipping that water phase, going from the air to right to the solid state. You're skipping already one phase of going from a gas to a liquid to right to a solid. So we're skipping that middleman there when we have frosty conditions. Now you're probably thinking, okay, frost isn't that big of a deal, right? Well, it is kind of a big deal, especially if plants outside, and it's kind of cool. We're covering you up a little bit there, Grace.
I know.
Sorry,
I could easily hide behind this thing.
But when we have these kind of events, though, they kind of signal the end of growing season. So people with gardens outside and people with lawns kind of notice them really well as well. And you're probably noticing them on your windshield when you're coming out to work as well. Some of the things to keep in mind when you have frosty conditions out there, again, clear skies are what you really want for these. Low, quiet winds, nothing really strong in that front. A little bit of moisture in the atmosphere too as well. You can't really get frost as well if you don't have at least a little bit of moisture here. But look at that. Protecting your plants is the key one, Grace. Bring them in, cover them up. Not in plastic, but with some sheets.
Okay, that's so interesting to me.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people, they always ask when we have these events or we forecast for these events, they're like, hey, what do I got to do to protect my tomato plant if it's still producing tomatoes? And if we get an early frost, that's a problem too, because people are still getting their pumpkins and all that stuff. Usually those are pretty hardy plants, but it's the tomatoes that are really ones. My dad grows tomatoes, that's why I'm using that as a reference point. So even your flowers too can suffer. One or two frosts usually aren't bad. The first ones are usually pretty light, and we've had some light ones here in central Illinois, but once we get to the harder frost, where it's almost every single day, if we're not having freezing conditions, that's when we start to really see the damage done to those plants.
And these are almost like the warning frost of like, okay,
hey, it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. So grab those sheets. I don't even know what that would look like. I've never
just
covered
kind of wrap them up around the pot and make sure the frost can't really form around it.
Well, I've seen some frost on my morning walks lately, so we've had a few warning ones, so now is the time. You have some history. You're a big history guy.
Yeah, we have that meme going around with the how much do you think about the Roman Empire? I'm the guy who thinks a lot about the Roman Empire.
It's been since high school, maybe.
Yeah, and then I'm the one who's thinking about it daily, all that kind of stuff. Thinking about from World War II all the way to colonial times in America. But we've got some pretty cool ones here. Last weekend, Sunday, was the birthday of Evangelista, I'm going to butcher this because I'm not really good at Italian, Torricelli, born. And he was born on the 15th, but he made the first barometer. Now, the first barometer was made out of mercury, and we don't really do that quite as much. They didn't have the technology we have, Grace, to kind of do all the cool, fancy, technological, electrical ways of doing it. But the barometer is used so we can measure our air pressure. When we have low pressures coming in, the barometer is going to drop, but high pressure coming in, the barometer is going to rise, and mercury did a good job of kind of showing what was what. But we've kind of moved away again from using mercury. It's a little too dangerous for that.
Thankful for some technological advancements, right?
Yeah, and then last week also, there on the 12th, Typhoon Tip became the largest typhoon, about 1,380 miles in size roughly, and also the record lowest pressure from a typhoon, from a tropical storm. And to kind of give you a view, I'm going to go back to this graphic here in a second, but it's really had a huge size. To kind of give you a look at that, that's about as big as it got. And the diameter of that, well, just insane, going basically from Iowa all the way to almost outside of Denver too. So that's a big storm.
That is a big storm.
It's a very big storm. To kind of give you in size and details, 690-mile radius for a storm. So 690 times 2, do a little bit of math at home. That's how you get your numbers there. But it is quite the storm, and it's still in the record books to this day as one of the biggest ones out there. And the final one, we've got the Columbus Day storm. Now that was impacting the northeast, or the northwest, excuse me, the Pacific Northwest, out there towards Seattle, out towards Oregon. Wind gusts, get this, above 130 miles per hour with this storm. So it was just a line of wind that came through with this storm, and still has one of the hallmarks of being one of the most dangerous storms. And still, meteorologists talk about this to this day, just for how intense it was and how much research was done around this storm.
Yeah, isn't that amazing that over time, the one thing we all have in common, I'm sure among several, weather has always been part of the story.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Well, you're just a wealth of knowledge. We had fun there with our Max Reality, as well as some fun facts about weather history. I did enjoy it. I didn't know any of this. So that was good. That was helpful information. Thank you, Adam. And if you're looking to maybe have some of your questions answered by Adam on Ask Your Meteorologist, go ahead and send him your question. Maybe we'll answer it next week.